Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. I don't even think this one's going to hit 10 minutes, but it might do. It won't be any more than 15, I know that for a fact. But we had one card on this week, which was obviously Jack Catrol and Harlem Eubank. I'm not sure if there were any other cards around like Europe or States or whatever. I wasn't made aware of them. But I'm going to be honest with you, one card was enough. Look, let me go through sort of the card. I'll give you sort of some of my thoughts on it. And then, yeah, we'll kind of call it there. Now, first things first, I guess the biggest shock, I suppose, was William Crawler losing to Fraser Wilkinson. I didn't, really think much of the fight initially. I didn't give a prediction on it. But not watching the fight through fully, but watching obviously how it ended. Obviously, I was watching the broadcast and then sort of just peeking in and out. I was surprised that, he's found his ceiling already. Well, okay, maybe not his ceiling, but you guys know what I mean. Like he's found his current level. I thought he would at least sort of get to like that English to British level before having major problems, especially with, Anthony sort of guiding and steering his career. But whomever did this matchmaking, obviously, well, what can I say? It was what it was. But yeah, look, he will, I suppose, recover. We'll see how he moves moving forward. Commiserations. Now, Sky Nicholson, admittedly, she was in there with, I guess, a girl that looked severely undersized for her, to be fair. And obviously, Sky had very generous dimensions at 126. So for someone that's obviously, catch weight, but essentially a 122, maybe even a 118 pounder, Sky was able to basically do the same stuff that most of us was imploring her to do 7 to 8 fights ago, which is be a bit more aggressive. If you're that much better than these girls, show that you're that much better than these girls. All of this back foot, one shot at a time stuff, pivoting out, laughing, smiling, like it was dead. Which is why I always said the hardest fight she ever had was the fight against Tania Alvarez, because Alvarez couldn't, she had no skills at all, but what she was just a little pit bull, constantly coming forward, constantly on the chest, constantly making Sky have to throw shots, and every time she tried to angle out, she was back in front of her, making her work again. And that's clearly, Sky must have thought that was a one-off. Then you get the same thing with, you had the Raven Chapman thing. Obviously, that was a little bit different. I won't go into that one, but obviously Raven severely underperformed for the reasons known to her and the team. But it was a similar thing there, but Raven gave her more opportunities to be able to do the counter work. Tiara Brown stayed on her chest, kept right in front of her, didn't allow her to angle out, didn't allow her to move out, and she was one of the few people able to match Sky with reach. Sky didn't have the massive reach advantage over her like she had with a lot of other girls. So with that pressure, you found, she was been found wanting on a couple of occasions, but her, that style that she had implemented, thinking it was good enough just to get her to the promised land. Well, on this occasion, she decided to step forward. She threw punches, not so much in bunches, but she threw combinations, 1-2s, 1-2-3s. I guess she had some big power behind shots as well. Yes, the girl was undermatched, but hopefully this is hoping that her next fight will be similar, whether it's of a similar level, I don't particularly know, but just similar in style of being aggressive. You don't have to be recklessly aggressive, but you can even still have a little bit of back foot game, but be spiteful on the front foot as well. Like, get in there, be willing to possibly take a shot, if it means landing those big power punches, because she's shown that she does actually have some pop and some snap in those shots. Niall Brown beat Victor Ionescu. I didn't see all of his fight, but I did see like the last 2 rounds, the last 2 to 3 rounds. I was, I liked what I saw from now. Obviously, 15-0. I think he's a super middleweight by trade. He was, look, he's still got a lot to work on, but I did sort of I like the punch variation more than anything, and the calm defense under fire, even though maybe the fire wasn't, that concerning, but being able to fire underneath, having a lot of good body work, throwing very fluid shots. Nothing looked like it was forced or looked like he was trying to load up too much, and that was something I appreciated. That was all in the before the bell portion. Moving to the main card, debut of Leo Attang. Look, I'm not going to say too much. Like, everyone knows what the plan is for Leo. Good looking kid, as Eddie said. He's looking to box him around the world. He's talking about here, America, Saudi. I would like him to do the whole circuit, so he did Manchester, like get him on a Birmingham card, get him on a London card, get him on a Bristol card, Bournemouth card, loan him to Frank Warren, let Frank Warren put him on some of his shows in like some of the other territories as well. Then you take him to box him on some of the stateside cards. Probably they'll maybe look to get a little rivalry going with him and Joshua Edwards or someone like that. I mean, I know the Moses Atama fight is something they're talking about maybe 2-3 years down the line. But yeah, we know what the plan is. What I will say, I like the movement. And he's a heavyweight that wasn't just headhunting. He was actually looking for the body, which was impressive in fact, he was fighting such a smaller opponent. The first thought would be to keep the punches sort of higher up, like raised up, so that you can actually go for those head punches. That would be more a train of thought, but he actually was willing to dip down. He was trying to manipulate his opponent's guard to get those body shots as well. Knocked him down with a body shot, ended up stopping him on his feet via multiple body shots. Defense was pretty decent. There was a couple of things I noticed in it which I won't comment on here because I need to see if it was just a one-off or if it's a repeat thing. But there was a couple of things that I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this because this could be the quote-unquote Achilles heel down the line. But the variety, the speed, everything for young Leo was looking really good. I'm excited to see how the journey progresses. Same with TMA Attang and sort of the rest of that sort of squad that has been developed. But yeah, congratulations to Leo. Pat Brown against Lewis Oakford. Now, I predicted Pat I think he would get a stoppage around about the third or somewhere. I think I said somewhere between 3 to 5. Yeah, Lewis didn't hold up as long as I thought he would. I thought he would, be very economical and be able to, extend the ring a bit and make Pat have to chase follow. But Pat did quite well. Especially in terms of cutting the angles off, stepping with him, and then, just keeping that guard, making Lewis have to throw. Lewis initially started on the front foot, which was a bit surprising, but he quickly reverted to the back foot that I was expecting him to do. But Pat, once he started throwing those shots, especially that lead uppercut that he was throwing, there wasn't going to be much more for Lewis Oakford to take. Now, to be fair, he didn't go down. He took the shots. He took his beating on his feet. The referee eventually jumped in. He didn't complain, which I don't blame him. But I don't know. He did try to exchange back on a couple of occasions, and he caught Pat on a couple of occasions, which is also something that Pat needs to be wary of. He kept saying, look, when the levels go up, I'm going to show more defense. I'm going to obviously show more of my boxing and understand that. But it doesn't take the top level guy to catch you with one wrong shot. Because one of the shots that he got caught with was sort of like on the temple. It was just lucky that he was able to either brace for it or it maybe didn't connect proper. But you need to be careful. But I do enjoy watching Pat Brown fight. If he's able to fight another 3 times this year, that would be great. If not, it's understandable. But these sort of 1, 2, 3 round blowouts, or round fights, there's no reason why he can't be, that he can't be out 5 or 6 times in his debut year. So yeah, congrats to him. Akib Fiaz versus Alex Murphy. I did predict that Akib Fiaz would win the fight, primarily because I knew Murphy didn't really have the pop like that, but I just felt that Fiaz would land the shots that matter. He would land the shots that ultimately that you remember in each round, sort of as the round is going on, which is a bit of a shame to Murphy, because Murphy he did have much more volume. Not all of it was catching, some of it was obviously being caught on the gloves, on the sort of on the guard and everything, but he was working a lot harder. He just didn't have anything to really sort of stem the tide from Fiaz, who isn't that big of a puncher himself, but he just happened to be a bigger puncher than Alex Murphy. So yeah, with that, I feel like it was it ultimately was a good win for him. We'll see kind of what he does next. It'll be interesting if he ever decides to try to run it back with Reece Belotti. That'll be interesting. But outside of that, look, he did his thing. Congratulations to him. Joe Cordina versus Garrett Gonzalez-Kielos. This was a very fun fight. Joe Cordina obviously won the fight handily, which I'd said he would win the fight on points. He would have to be sharp and switched on. The upside down record of Gonzalez's opponents, though, actually kind of maybe doesn't show as much of the story as initially I thought it would. I thought, yeah, he's a puncher at a certain level, but he did actually show that he's willing to trade, he's willing to exchange, and this almost was his world title fight to him. This fight gets him the opportunities for everything else, and he responded in kind. Now, he didn't win very many of the rounds, but we've also got to say he did manage to buckle Joe Cordina. I believe it was in the 7th round with a counter left hook, as they was hooking with each other, and Joe didn't get that right arm up close enough. So you definitely got to watch for that, got to be careful. But Joe looked good. There was a little bit of a rust in there. You could tell that he'd been off for a little while, but it is what it is. He did what he needed to do, came through with the victory. Now, for moving into big fights moving forward, I'm pretty sure that there's a fight that he can take next. I don't think he should be getting a world title fight in his next fight, but you have a fight as some sort of eliminator, then maybe you can get a title shot after that. But congratulations to Cordina. Next, I'm not even going to spend too much time on it. Jack Catrol versus Harlem Eubank. Now, I had said I wasn't going to do the watch along because I knew that if the fight was playing out a certain way, I didn't want to have to be on the stream and just cussing. The fight was horrible. I knew it would be. I knew it would be two styles that just did not work with each other. And as I said in my predictions, the only way for Harlem Eubank to win this fight would be to either go against type, which is something that he can't do, which is be on the back foot and basically make Jack Catrol have to come to him, which is something that Jack Catrol does not like to do, or to literally swarm Jack Catrol, forget about form, tactics, and just basically go in, swarm him and make him have to fight and wear him down that way. Also, Harlem Eubank is there doing a Philly shell against a southpaw. Everyone now, I'm not a boxer, but even I know that the Philly shell, or the shell guard in itself, is designed to be facing someone who is on the same stance as you. So the shots are coming from the same trajectory. So when someone's jabbing, you've got your lead hand here where you can manipulate this to the body, but then you've also got the other hand. So obviously your jab hand is supposed to be up so that you can wind wipe against the guard or the other person's lead hand, whereas your backhand is down low. Now, obviously, if you've got a southpaw, the southpaw is coming from the opposite angle. So why have you, at that point, got the southpaw facing basically your hand that's down by your side, facing your backhand, so that they've got opportunities to go straight in front of you? That is not how you do a Philly shell. If anything, at that point, realistically, you've got to switch your arms, and you've now got to have your backhand being the one that's up and your lead hand being the one that's down to protect. But that's not the way you're trained. So that just went to show enough of the noviceness of Harlem Eubank. His post-fight I saw some of his post-fight comments about, he was making him miss and he was about to take it away from him, and he was, getting ready to stop him, and the ref took it away from him. Now look, could he have stopped him? I don't know. A punch could have come in. It could have, maybe he could have caught him with a good shot in that sense. But in terms of the rounds, I wasn't scoring it actively, but I feel like I had it 4-1 and 1 even. So, I mean, I had Jack Catrol up. It wasn't a particularly fun fight to watch in that sense. Jack Catrol did what he does. I think Turkey Al Sheikh actually put out a tweet saying something like, "This is not Tom and Jerry, this is Jerry versus Jerry." So basically, two people just don't want to engage with each other. There was a lot of grappling. It was very messy. Obviously, the heads came in together. Both of them ended up getting cuts over their eyes. The fight was stopped on the cuts or something along those lines. So Harlem Eubank lost the technical decision. He looked very scared in the ring to me, very timid. He started doing some fake switch hit thing some fake switching. I don't really know what he was doing. Look, the level that he boxed at last night is not his level. He can say what he wants about everything else. It's not his level. Even Jack Catrol, it may not even be his level. And I feel sorry for Jack Catrol in one sense, and I'm not even trying to be funny. His career has been horribly mismanaged. Especially ever since that first Josh Taylor fight. Everything after that was leading to just another rematch with Josh Taylor, and then you had opportunities to try and even go after belts possibly, but no, you just want this Josh Taylor rematch. You're having these nondescript, these awful fights in the hopes that you get the Josh Taylor rematch. You get the Josh Taylor rematch, you get the victory in a fight that was actually harder for you probably than the first one was. And then I look at his career. The only fights of his I actually remember enjoying was the first Josh Taylor fight, the second one, and the Regis Prograis fight. Outside of that, every other time I've seen him, he's bored me. And, the tagline on the Arnold Barboza was the boring thing. Yeah, he is a boring fighter. There's not much to him outside of that. And as much as Sam Jones, sing his praises and does an excellent job as a manager of promoting him, he is not... he's not a fan fighter. That's what I would say. He's not the kind of guy that, that the fans will get behind. Apart from the robbery, which was the only thing he had going for him. Now that that's been sorted out, what else is there to Jack Catrol? He's gonna be one of those sad stories of what never was. That's kind of how I see it. And the only way he's going to get opportunities now is going to be against people that are expected to beat him and beat him badly. And he will never get on a Ring magazine or a Riyadh season card unless they are in a 16 by 16 foot ring and you're putting him in there against the biggest pressure fighter they can find. So if we're talking 147, I don't even know who's a big pressure fighter at 147 at the moment. Maybe someone from 140 might come up, someone like Subriel Matias possibly coming up to 147, and you put him in a 16 by 16 ring. That I think is the only way that you'll get Jack Catrol on any of those shows. But whatever opportunities he thought he may have to get those big paydays, they're gone. After the performance last night, they're gone. Yes, he might be going for a world title next. Even if he wins a world title, there's just no appeal to him. And it's a sad thing to say because I'm cool with him. Me and him are actually, I'm on, we share socials and information on LinkedIn. We're connected on that sense. I've got no ill wills towards Jack Catrol as a person, and I respect the skills that he has, but he just does not implement them the right way or a way that makes me want to actually watch him, and especially to make me want to pay for it. I don't think he could ever be on a pay-per-view. And if my DAZN subscription was based on a monthly instead of the yearly plan that I have, I probably would have skipped last week and then done and got my subscription maybe on the 12th, so that I can have from the 12th of July all the way through to the 12th of August. I probably would have skipped it, to be totally real with you. And in terms of Harlem Eubank, as I said, he looked out of sorts in there. you know, doing a Philly show against a southpaw just showed me how, you know, how little boxing actual knowledge he has. And this is coming from a guy that's never boxed a day in his life, and even I could tell you that was a mistake. Everything about the fight itself and the 6 rounds it lasted just was horrible. There was not a redeeming quality about it, and to be honest, I was quite glad when the cut happened and caused the fight to get waved off after the 6th. As bad as that sounds, but yeah, that is all I'm going to say about that. I'm not continuing any further. Like, subscribe and share. Look, I'm going to try and get a bit more content out this week. I definitely will have 2 separate basis picks videos, one for the Friday card with Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, all the women, and one for obviously the ring 2 card. Plus we're going to get some casual stream, we're going to get some other good stuff. There's going to be more content coming in this week than there has been for the last couple of weeks, that I can assure you. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments down below. If you disagree with me, please tell me why you disagree with me. I'm happy to be wrong. Like, subscribe and share, and I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, peace.